Welcome to Shay's Insights video. This week I'd like to talk about something I have seen over the past month or so in 3 or 4 people that I haven't previously seen, but except 1 or 2 people over the past few decades. And it has to do with the incoming energies and our emotional baggage. And I'll do a quick recap on that. However, if you are not familiar with my previous videos, I recommend watching them about the incoming energies. There's also some articles or posts about them, as well as the emotional baggage series. I think there's 4 articles about that which really explain how they affect us, because that is at the heart of what's going on right now. The name of this video is, what is an energetic virus? And that's a good question. And I'm seeing where energies, in conjunction with emotional baggage being released through our energy system, is causing people to have sometimes flu-like symptoms, cold-like symptoms, sometimes an upset stomach, or otherwise. I had a friend of mine over in Washington State who was just having these odd feelings and odd energetic experiences that were affecting him, it looked like even physically, and it was the same sort of thing. So we're going to talk about that. So as a fast recap, the incoming energies that are flowing in, as each of us absorbs them, it raises the frequency of our energetic bodies as well as our physical body. The matter in our physical body is raising frequency. As we anchor the energies, of course, it anchors and raises the frequency of Mother Earth, and of course that feeds into the soul group, because we are all part of the soul group. So as our frequency raises, our body, as I've become aware of, becomes increasingly sensitive physically. So not only do we, as we're releasing some old emotional baggage from some event in this life or some previous life, do we sense perhaps the emotions are with it, sorrow or unhappiness. Some people even have despair because whatever the event was a fairly intense one, as well as the energies and the thoughts that perhaps were associated with it. But what these energies are also lower vibrational, and our body is feeling those and receiving those just like it would the lower vibration of an incoming virus or bacteria. The bacteria has its own purpose, but it also has a very lower frequency, and of course our body takes and fights that and generates antibodies to it, and eventually it eliminates the bacteria and our frequency raises back up physically. Well, those energies are doing the same thing. So Deborah had the other day, actually about a week ago now, she said, am I coming down with something? And I looked at her aura, and viruses have a particular pattern because they are a living thing, and they have an active pattern that looks different than, let's say, the staticky energy that we could pick up if we went out shopping, for example, because there's a lot of fear in the world, and there's always some level of it. And even as we keep ourselves in our bubble of light, if we have unresolved issues of emotional baggage, which the vast majority of people do, it can open us up just non-consciously to receive some of this, and we get it into our energy field. Of course, it's easy to remove. We just reconnect with our light, and that takes care of it. But if we're not aware of it, if we're not paying attention, and all of a sudden we feel this, don't just assume that perhaps you have a cold or the flu or some other virus. It could very well be an energetic virus. So what we recommend doing if this happens to you, and I have a couple of things to talk about regarding this here in just a second, but I want to talk about a solution. As many of you know, at the end of our in-person monthly meditations, as well as the ones we leave online, at the end we create a bubble. We fill the bubble with light. We anchor to Mother Earth, which allows us to stay centered and grounded in the earth. And as well as this emotional baggage comes up, it gets sucked away into Mother Earth and transmuted into light. As well as we connect to our higher guidance, our high self, the etheric realm, and the divine, the angelic realm. And as we do that, that brings in the higher energies which are associated with our true self. It's a constant, ongoing aligning process. You can think of that torus of energy that goes and happens. And that's the healthy state of being. But again, if we're not paying attention and as stuff in our own life comes up, as we're busy just living life sometimes, these things can happen. So that's one thing. The other thing I noticed is that these energetic phenomenon, because of these lower vibrations, it affects the body very much like it actually has a bacteria or a virus. And what helped Deborah and myself and my friend is to take vitamin C. So, it helps fight whatever things that come into our body. It bolsters the immune system. Now, everyone has their own method for figuring out what amount to take. We recommend taking anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000. Some people take 6,000 an hour until they hit saturation. The real secret is to find out what's right for you. Some people use the pendulum. They test. Others use kinesiology, the muscle testing where you see if you're stronger or weaker with the various dosages. But whatever method you use, that's what I recommend doing to find out how much vitamin C you should take, if you should take any at all. You may want to ask that question. The other thing that's good, and Deborah uses it a lot, are tinctures. She uses an elderberry tincture. She gets it at the health food store. I believe it's the non-alcohol version, and that's important. If we can avoid having the alcohol, that's good. I mean, it's a good suspension element for elderberry, but there's other things that can be used. In any case, again, she takes the elderberry in the droppers and puts it into a glass of water. Again, use your pendulum, kinesiology. You can use that muscle testing to find out, should I take 1 drop? Are you stronger or weaker? 2 drops, stronger or weaker? So on and so forth. If you need to know how to do muscle testing, there's plenty of videos out on YouTube that talk about how to do it and other methods as well. So between those two, that can really help bolster the body so it can, at the physical level, stave off these lower vibrational energies while we are doing our energetic work to clear ourselves. There's also another video that Deborah put out over a year ago. It's called the Chakra Grounding Exercise. It's under our how-to videos at shaysholistics.com. It's more than just a grounding exercise. It is the grounding to Mother Earth and connecting to our higher guidance one with the bubble and all of it. Or you can go to any one of our monthly meditations, go to the end, or listen to the whole meditation. But at the end, we have this exercise, which is always a good one to get us resynced up. Because all this energetic work that happens during a meditation, it resyncs us up and helps us get a little more integrated before we go back out into the world. So with that, Deborah and I also have a wonderful announcement to make, and so excited about this. We are going to have a monthly radio program. It's going to start in March. It's going to be a 1-hour program. It's going to be the 3rd Saturday of every month at 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Of course, you'll want to go and check. If you're in a different time zone, find out what that corresponds for you. So our first one will be March 19th, again at 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. And it's with the News for the Soul radio network. The founder of that, Nicole Whitney, I believe it is, she will be interviewing us in the first one. She's going to ask us a number of questions. So if you go out to Shay's Holistics, you'll see it. If you scroll down a little bit, we have the announcements out there and the dates. And under the events calendar, if you go over to events, it also has links to News for the Soul website that's going to have our profile page and, of course, our shameless promotion page as well. Everyone has that's on that show. And then subsequently after that, in future programs, we have a lot of things that we plan on doing. I've got some notes here. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. We're going to do a presentation on a variety of spiritual topics. Nutrition, Deborah's really good at that. Healing modalities, spiritual modalities, you name it. If it's out there, we're going to look at that. Unusual happenings. Many of us have had what are considered extraordinary events by the regular world, but in the spiritual realm, we know this is normal. And of course, anything like bending spoons. I did that class one time. We were going to talk about that. Anything spiritual, that's what we're going to talk about. We're also going to take calls and questions during the show. We plan on doing interviews with other spiritual people and groups. We're in the process of identifying them now. And of course, you, our audience, we want to take inputs from you. So if you have any ideas, you can send us an email. Just use our contact page out on shaysholistics.com and send us in some ideas. And if we get enough people that say, hey, we want to talk about this particular subject, or please expound upon something we previously talked about, whatever it is, we will do that. And we're also going to try to do live music. We're going to have to play this by ear. Deborah will play her crystal harp, her Tibetan bowls, her crystal bowls, her crystal pyramid, the hand pan, this rain stick, and all the other things that she has. If that doesn't work out for the quality that we're seeking, what we'll do is we'll record it ahead of time, and then we'll have Nicole play it at the appropriate time. So before we close out, I wanted to make that announcement. The one other phenomenon that this is associated with, and this is what we all came to do, everyone who is a light worker, who's on the spiritual path, as you're anchoring these energies into yourself and growing spiritually yourself, that of course, as we've said before, raises the frequency of the planet, and of course our soul group. It helps our soul group make better choices. Sometimes it may not look like that's what's happening, but just think what would happen if we weren't doing this. It's a very important thing that we do, not only for ourselves, but in our service to humanity. And with that said, the one phenomenon I saw with my friend over in Washington was that as he's bringing these energies and they're affecting him somewhat physically and definitely energetically, I saw that what was happening, that as part of his service to humanity, was that some of these discordant energies of the soul group, of the collective, were coming to him to be dissolved. And that, I realized, that's when it's appropriate and when it's time. Not only are we to keep ourselves healthy, but we're also, as you start seeing some of these energies come in, it may not have anything to do with us personally, you personally. It can have to do with this being brought in so that you can be a vehicle of light to transmute that discordant energy of the soul group and into light, to raise its frequency, to dissolve it. However one thinks of it, that's what we're to do. So that's all I have for this video. I thank you for joining me and for joining us. We look so forward to having you with our program. We'll have more updated links once they're available to us. We'll put them out on our website. I encourage you to go out to shaysholistics.com and take a look. And until then, and until next time, blessings, light, and love. Namaste.